Good day, everyone. Trust you're doing well today. Last week, the stock market climbed slowly. It added about 0.74% to close at 198,000 points. Think of the All-Share Index climb last week like a very slow, sluggish climb. Like it's tired, but it's still climbing slowly and sluggishly. It's like the ASI, like the All-Share Index, has a goal to reach that 200,000 points. So that 200,000 points is actually the new top. The ASI is actually staring at right now. So it's on that journey. But one thing I noticed is Nigeria stock seems to be immune to the shock of the current conflict in the Middle East because the US, Japan, Indian, and most other global stock fell last week. In sharp contrast to that of Nigeria stocks. So something also happened last week. So last week, it was obvious that as soon as the all-share index hit 197K, some investors were quickly selling to lock in profit and just take profit. Now, while that was going on, some set of investors, majorly institutional investors, were rotating funds between sectors. What they were doing was basically dumping some stocks to buy into the oil and gas stocks because you know global oil prices were rising towards $100 per barrel. Again, like it's due to the geopolitical tension in the Middle East. They clearly do not want to get left out from the bull run that's going on in the oil sector. However, around Thursday and Friday of last week, I noticed those investors who had earlier sold off to take profits earlier on in the week, right? They came back again to start buying strong companies that earlier corrected. Man, this market, this market is so funny. Basically, what was happening was they were buying into the banking, cement, and energy stocks. So, have you heard of the term buying the dip? That was what they were doing. They were actually buying the dip. And that pattern of trade, buying the dip, that actually kept the market stable to see out, the week, that made the market, ended well for last week. Overall, the Nigeria stock market is still, slightly bullish. So now let's get into my stock recommendation for this week. In the banking sector, the first bank I'll be recommending is EcoBank. There's potential upside for like 30%. And another bank I'll be recommending is Fidelity Bank. There's potential upside for 25%. Then FCMB is another one to actually buy into. But if you have Zenith Bank, just hold on to Zenith Bank. You don't need to start buying Zenith Bank anymore. Just hold on to Zenith Bank because Zenith Bank stocks, as it just seems so overbought at this point. But just to hold on to it. If you're already holding Stanbic, I mean, it's the right time for you to like sell Stanbic. Basically, what's actually happening in the banking sector is most bank stocks already rallied a great deal, right? So what some smart investors are doing are basically just selling and rotating fund into cheaper bank stocks like EcoBank and FCMB. So you might as well want to do the same. So next is in the consumer goods sector. In the consumer goods sector, Nigeria breweries is a good one to buy. You can buy and ride up to like 13 to around 15%. However, if you do have, or if you're holding stocks like Dangote Sugar, Nestle, and Nascon, it's the right time for you to sell because those stocks look so overbought at this point, right? So basically what's going on, the story in the consumer goods sector is it's actually not a good time for consumer companies due to high cost from fuel hike. Now if it persists, consumer spending will be so weak and that will hurt the profit of these consumer goods companies. So let's get into the industrial goods sector. In the industrial goods sector, Lafarge, which is WAPCO, it's another one to buy. Another one is Bois Cement. Bois Cement looks so overbought. Bois Cement did, a huge rally. In fact, Bois Cement already ran up 20% last week. So the upside for Bois Cement is priced in already. So I recommend you sell Bois Cement. Just sell. Next is in the oil and gas sector. So in the oil and gas sector, right? So while the oil and gas sector seems to be bullish, however, Arado holding appears to be so overbought at this point. So it's expected that there might be a kind of, a downward reversal for Arado. Could be around that even 14% downward. So you might be looking to want to sell, but so overbought. In the insurance sector, ICO is a good one to buy. Then in the ICT sector, MTN is a good one to buy. Airtel is a good one to buy as well. So that's all I have for this week. Thanks for staying to the end of this video. If you gain value from this video, like, subscribe, just so you don't miss my next, update for next week. Have a nice day. Bye bye.